All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the second episode of the Prep Phase. We got a little bit different of a look today with Oreos not being present. He has personal life events to attend to today and tomorrow. So today, instead, we are joined by Harrison Crow and Spiker, the 16-year-old. Gentlemen, how are you two doing today?
I'm not 16, man.
That's not the point.
16.
Say hello.
That's true.
Okay, hi.
And we are also joined by a very, very special guest, somebody who happened to go absolutely massive today in his first Pro League game. Surf, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing okay. All right, we could get right into it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think a lot of people had you very, very low in their power rankings, even myself included. Looking at the roster, I was a little worried. Not necessarily on the talent, but I think the way it was constructed, I was a little nervous on the identity you guys would have. And it kind of came out today. And like those concerns were definitely gone. But to my knowledge, you were on this team the whole time. So you kind of like oversaw, I guess, the making of the roster. So like you kind of, did you have insight like on how the roster was put together? Or was it kind of like not up to you? You were kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, I pretty much so I played the invite calls with them, and at the time, like I wasn't like officially on the team. Like it was still like a trial error, like still like during my trial, and then pretty much uh after the invite calls, they basically pulled me to the side and like basically told me that like they were planning on like what they were planning on doing with the team, and basically just giving me like the bed like trying to like basically tell me that like I'm not joining to be in the sinking ship, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, because they did plan on changing things and making roster moves and like basically making a whole nother team. So I mean, they kind of gave me like that kind of reassurance that like I wouldn't be joining to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, also,
So,
it is your first stage of Pro League. You were in CL all three stages. There was the whole honor thing that happened after stage 2. Team disbanding. You found your way back on the two-faced. You guys qualified. Then you ended up leaving that team. You kind of went teamless for a little bit. You tried out with a lot of teams. So like, how's the whole journey? Just like through CL, because also like you were only in CL for those 3 stages. To my knowledge, you didn't play like high T3 Siege for a while outside of Seven Spades. And CCS right before. So it's kind of like a meteoric rise, like straight up to Pro League. Like I wouldn't say it's not like, as much grinding as other people have. Not saying like, you haven't grinded, but like, it's been really quickly. So how's it like, gone from like T3 straight to CL and then like straight to Pro League? Like how's that been?
so pretty much like during like the entire CL like stage, like the plan was obviously to make it Pro League, but like so stage 1, I played okay, other than like that game against LeBron's team, which was kind of like a joke. Other than that game, like me didn't get like my stats were pretty like mediocre. And then come around stage 2, we had ended up dropping Wolf Season Arrow and picking up X and Ferda. I pretty much like just like played like shit the entire stage. Pretty much like sold my team pretty much, and basically after that stage, the team ended up disbanding. Everybody had like their own like lives to go deal with. They were not gonna put it on pause for CL, and pretty much after that, I kind of like was like taking a break from the game. I was like really not worried about it. Pretty much started working. Barely played the game, and then come around like around time for CL quals, I was like, okay, well, I kind of want to play them. It sounds fun. I've never done it because like I just went straight on to honor whenever I turned 18, so I never got the chance to do the CL quals. So I ended up getting asked like the day before CL quals by Kicksrow asking me if I wanted to basically do the CL quals with them. Uh, I said yes. Not like realizing that like they probably like one of the best teams in the CL qual at the time. And basically, like in my head, it didn't really click that like if we win, I'd be back in CL, and I'd have to scrim again, pretty much. So like basically when we qualified and everything, I was like, damn, like I really am stuck on this team now. Like they can't make any roster right? Like I'm not about to like screw them over either. So I basically ended up sticking with them during stage three, but like pretty much like I told them like after this stage like I don't I'm not playing anymore. Like this is kind of like I felt like I was like pretty much like wasting my time. Um, so basically after stage three we didn't qualify for playoffs. So I basically like a week after we lost, I ended up like my sister group chat. I was like, all right, well, like I told you guys, like I plan on leaving. I basically gave them like a couple like people they could look into. Um, and then I pretty much just that's pretty much like the last time I really talked to them. Pretty much, and then again, I was working. I didn't really play the game. I wasn't really focused on the game at the time. And then my coach from Honor, which was Rams, he hits me up and he asked me if I want to try out for Panic Gaming, which was Gotcha Oasis, Barring, and Slash and me. So it was gonna be us five, and then basically Gotcha, like after we basically announced the roster, Gotcha like a couple days later ends up like coming into the call and telling us that like he has bad news, basically saying that he got uh like an analyst spot for TSM, and like obviously he's not gonna like pass that up. So pretty much after that I was like, damn, like well that's that. Like I had really had like high hopes for that team because like we were playing pretty good for like the little bit of time that we were a team, and um basically they he basically did the same thing I did, and like he pretty much gave us like options to like pick up and replace him. Because like he wanted us to stay as a team, even though he wasn't gonna play, and we basically just all came to the conclusion that like we'll probably just all go our separate ways and like just figure out um like a new team to pretty much join tryout for. I pretty much like stopped really focusing on it, and then Rams ends up like getting a coach spot with Beast Coast, and he hits me up like a month or two after the whole no, it was like a month after the panic gaming situation, and then he basically tells me like if asks me if I would like to like try out. um I basically like obviously I was like yeah I'll try out to T1 offer like I mean what's the worst that could happen, like I mean I really don't have anything to lose at that point. And I tried out, played good, played the invite quals. The first invite qual, I kind of shit the bed. I kind of got nervous. I was like, damn, like I really just fucked up my one chance at Pro League. And then the second quals come around. I started playing better. We played what was it? What was the name of their team? Yardy's team. It was
FPL
what was the
Queens.
name of? Yeah, FPL Queens. We play them. The game goes 7-7. They win 8-7. Pretty much after that, then they basically tell me like, they wanted to offer me the spot, and um, obviously I said yes. I was like, of course, I gotta take the spot. And from there, like, it was pretty much me and Anthony, and everybody else obviously got dropped from the team. And me, Anthony, basically like it was me and him, and then we'd try out like, Slash because Slash was kind of like somebody that we were also looking at too, but due to like me being on a team with him like prior, which was Panic Gaming. Um, Pretty much me slash Anthony. Like at that point, we kind of knew that that was gonna be like no, actually, it was me, Sweater, Anthony, and then we pretty much came to the conclusion that like we needed Slash, like he's like our end game leader. So like we gotta like yeah. He has the experience. He is an IGL, and that's kind of like what we needed. So we ended up making the decision to go with him. Like after like Sweater's first tryout, like look, it was like a no brainer. Like that guy's literally fucking nuts. And um, picked him up, and then I think the ended up coming down to Drip or what is it? Drip or Barring. And basically, we just played a lot better with Drip, and we basically decided to go with him. And uh, yeah, I mean, we've been playing with him ever since. Kind of just been practicing. We've been here longer than any other team. Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that. So I guess I also have a question too about I guess the whole roster changes because I think everybody was absolutely shocked like after, you know, basically when you guys cleaned ship.
Yeah.
It was a big deal when Sippin got dropped. It was a big deal when Alec got dropped. I don't think it was that much of a big deal when Jay got dropped, but it was kind of a big deal.
I
Like,
got to do Jay like that.
well, I just meant like everyone was like absolutely going crazy about Sippin and Alec. I'm not saying Jay should have been or shouldn't have been. My whole point is like, I think everybody like heard you were staying, and like how did you guys come to the point? Because like Astralis lost even earlier than you guys did against the same team, and they obviously kept the same roster, and they're clearly doing good. They're doing just fine. They made one coaching change. Like what made you guys feel like you needed to clean the house?
We just get shit on, like literally just getting shit on during practice. Like I just seemed like nobody really cared. Like they felt that I guess they felt that kind of like they were safe, and which just wasn't the case, because like you can't expect to be safe on a team when you place basically last, and like you can't expect to for the coaches or management to be like, okay, well clearly there's a problem, and pretty much just they continued to play bad and continued to pretty much just continue to show the exact same thing over and over again with no change, and it's pretty much came to the conclusion that something needs to happen.
Yeah. Crow, Spiker, you guys have any questions? I got more. I just want to include you guys in here, kind of just sitting there.
I'm just eating.
I know Spiker's eating.
I'm just here eating.
As I saw in chat, Crow's actually playing T-Hunt at the current moment.
No, I'm not. That was Crow 5 minutes ago.
Oh, right.
I mean, crap. The only 2 good questions I had, I asked before we started.
Then ask him again.
I don't remember them.
That's fine.
I'll ask a question.
Oh, okay. All right.
What is it like being an ex-teammate with one-time invite champion Gotcha 06?
Honestly, like teaming with Gacha, I don't know, he knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff. You know what I mean? There's a reason why obviously he got picked up by TSM, and then they go on to win an invite. Gacha's just a really smart guy. He's really and he's hardworking, obviously. So pretty much it was pretty nice. You kind of he treated it pretty much like T1, even though it wasn't. And I don't know, I've always liked the environment where you treat things very seriously, even though it's not professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's another question I'll ask. Kind of shifting more towards the current team rather than obviously shit that happened in the past. But what's the current dynamic of the team? I've been watching Yardy's vlogs. You guys seem to be having an absolute blast together. So how's that? How's that been going?
Adam is literally hilarious. Sweater's hilarious. Anthony's hilarious. Slash is also pretty funny. We just. You said, yo, what the fuck? But pretty much I don't know, we just have a good time all the time. We just vibe with one another. Kind of just from the first week that I was kind of here, we all pretty much started playing together. It was kind of just we just clicked, it's pretty much it. I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah. You were leaking. You got picked up on your Snapchat story 2 months before it got announced. It's not
but I only have a couple people that I know. But and are you gonna leak my bad? Do I need to block you from my Snapchat story?
I knew before that anyway, but
yeah. I think the main thing I was happy to see with this roster is it seems like a team that's just vibes are up. Like I said, and I'll definitely go over later. It's kind of a same vibe as Exet, where you guys are really, really tight as a group. But like I said, with Exet, my concerns with them were, for instance, exactly what happened today. When shit started getting tough, they literally crumbled. You have the veteran experience with Slash. You have even, Drip was in Pro League before. Basically everybody was in Pro League before for the most part. So having, you've played in in CL. You teamed with Gotcha, but you never really had a game day with Gotcha. The teammate you had most like who had most experience that you teamed with was Butters. So like, playing in CL, with like mostly new players, and then end up playing stage 3 with Two Face, who all hadn't really played in CL before, like, and go into having like a leader like Slash, having somebody like Drip, having even Anthony on the team, basically everybody on the squad, like how is that for you? How does that make your life easier, having somebody like really be a leader who's been experienced and shit like that before?
Like especially with like playing like with the older maps getting added back to the pool, such as like Border and Bank and Theme and Skyscraper, like they bring like a lot of like their old experience, because like Slash literally like he literally played Skyscraper when it came out in Pro League. He played Border in Pro League. Like he knows like the way the map works, and like pretty much is like the same thing as before. Nothing really has changed for the map. Like other than like the East Balk and stuff, like it's pretty much like pretty straightforward. You take basically CC, and then from there you pretty much like decide on like what's the next part, whether it's depending on the site. So like I feel like, I don't know, like for me, I've never played Border, Skyscraper, Bank, or like any of those maps in comp like ever before, and it's like learning the maps were like so easy. Like it was literally the easiest like time I've had like learning something in the game. Like I don't know, I think we've like, I don't know how to explain it. Like it just makes things a lot easier, because like say like I'm doing something wrong, like like we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it, and then like afterward, like things are way better. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just like, I don't really know how to explain it, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think my last question, unless anybody else has some questions, is after the game, there was a lot of standing up and yelling across the side to Parabellum. What was said, and kind of why did you end up yelling at the boys over there? What kind of happened before the game?
It's kind of just like banter. Like I don't have anything like against anybody on that team. Like I'd like to say I'm pretty cool with all of them, but like it's kind of just like shit talk, like just like normal shit talk. Like I don't expect any of them to take it personally. I know Esco's yelling over every time they went around. So like it's kind of just like back and forth, and then at the end of the game, I just kind of stood up, and out of like the excitement of like winning the game, it was a 2v5, and we basically won the round, and I basically stood up and I go, "Get the fuck off me, you guys are dog shit." And then like after that, I was kind of just like, okay, well now it's time to relax. The game's over. Like we don't need to be mean no more.
Mm-hmm.
You were just keeping it frank with them, honestly.
Yeah,
pretty
pretty much. Yeah,
you
pretty
just
much.
keep it frank.
Yeah,
Of course.
Frank.
You always gotta keep it frank.
Stop. Stop. All right, one last single question. Playing on LAN. You've basically been online your whole career, as basically everybody else is, but like just like everybody else has. But playing on LAN, is that better for your play style? Is it easier to play on LAN?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like it's so much easier to like, I don't know, I feel more confident taking gunfights without like having to deal with like getting ghosted, or like stuff like that. Like I was telling Slash right after the game, I was like, LAN feels so much better. Like your bullets actually work. Like things actually register. Like you don't have those issues. Like it was so much better than like playing online.
Yeah. I pray for the day I'd ever get to play on LAN. Just seems nice, It's like a fever dream.
You literally quit the game.
I mean,
Play on LAN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. True. All right. Well, I have no further questions. If the gentlemen don't, Surf, we appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you guys having me.
We're gonna get right into the games now.
All right.
Yep. Surf, great games today, man. Great games, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. I'll talk to you guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. So let's get right into the games. Starting with PBBC. Looking at the map bans, this is the first map of the year. Very happy it went to Border. I'm kind of looking at the map bans. I think, and we were talking about it before broadcast. Looking at it, obviously, big note, BC banning Chalet. I think we all know that was a map they needed to ban, whether it was their best or their worst. We know like how good PB is on it.
Yeah.
But the main thing you look at is the new three, like the three newest maps, Sky, Theme, Border, all were the last ones to get banned. And to my knowledge, Parabellum was extremely happy to try and go to Border. But
which I'm surprised about because I feel like Sky is more complex than Border, so I don't know why PB would ban Sky over. Because like
I
if
mean,
you're
over
against a
those
team like
three, yeah.
If you're up against a team like Beast Coast, I mean, clearly we saw Beast Coast. And this isn't an insult, but like they're not massively strategically in depth. Like today, it was just they were just winning all their fights and playing better as a whole. I don't get why you wouldn't. I mean, you look at the BC core again. I mean, they're like a brand new team. I don't get why you wouldn't try and take them to a more complex VEV. Because like PB, right? PB banning Villa Oregon, like you're just not going to take Beast Coast to Villa or Oregon. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Bank PB haven't had the best history on Bank, and then Beast Coast banning Chalet because it's PB Chalet, banning Cafe because it's PB Cafe. Clubhouse I was a little surprised by. But I know a lot of people don't like Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised they banned Clubhouse because I know PB don't like Clubhouse.
I think it was more so just a comfort ban for them. But other than that, like outside of like, the PB ban on Sky, like instead of Border, I think mostly this was like kind of expected for the most part. This was kind of cookie cutter. There's no like surprises here, like the PB bans up until Sky made sense. Maybe they're just not comfortable on Sky. But you look at Beast Coast, like these are all like, basically cookie cutter. I mean, you look at Theme and Club, like you're going to ban Theme, you're going to try and go to Border. I think that's a fact for them. That definitely obviously benefits their play style more than it would on any other map. But I mean, obviously like the Cafe, the Chalet, like you said. So, we get right into the game. I mean, for the most part, I think it kind of got a little weird at certain times. PB was really, really slow to start on their defenses. Pretty sure they went down 3-0 and they brought it back 3-3. But like we were talking about with Surf, me and Aureus on our last episode, we kind of talked about it. We knew Surf was a good pickup. Obviously Jack played with him, so he knew obviously what teaming with him was like. I'm not going to say I had my concerns, but it was going to be a huge make or break game for me to see what he could do. Cause there were a lot of question marks around how he would play.
Yeah.
And obviously they were just, they were answered. Another issue that I had with Beast Coast, like I said, with the way the roster was made, I was a little nervous about how their identity would be. It looked like the roster was like half like structured, like with like Slash's system, and then half like, very aggro, style, like, Yardi's style is. And you kind of look at those two and it's kind of like I figured those two styles would clash. And they actually did a really good job at, using both, and I think that's kind of like what came down to it. I think their play style kind of surprised Parabellum. It took them off guard. We also talked about this yesterday. It was a trap game for Parabellum, Like, this is one of those games where it's like your first game in Pro League. This is probably the last team you wanted to play, Like, this is a Beast Coast is going to be a team. It's just going to be one of those teams that makes you very uncomfortable the entire stage, The entire time you're playing against them, it just seems like they're going to make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're hard to predict.
They are. Especially
I
like
mean, they're always gonna like be in your face too. Like they're never just gonna let you do what you want. Like they're always gonna be pressuring for everything.
Yeah, especially going over to just the way that they were defending more than the way they were attacking. There was, however, I'll go back. There was, however, the East hold that they did. I believe it was this round. No, it wasn't this round. They did the East hold, Parabellum did. And, yeah, it's this one. Where they held top East with a Jaeger. And, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I guess it's there to waste time. But, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of how they were defending for the most part, even though I think they won the round they did it. You know what else I kind of noticed too was they had Kool-Aid on a little more of a not a support role today. Like for instance, on attack he was playing Zoe.
Yeah, Kool-Aid on Zoe was surprising.
That was a little interesting to me.
It's just because they have Wimpy. Because they're like slotting Wimpy into like the old Kool-Aid roles, and once Blast comes in, then Kool-Aid's gonna go back.
I know. I don't know. I think I would have rather have seen Wimpy on the Zoe instead.
I mean, I don't know. I just think that like the way that they usually they used to play, like even though Kool-Aid was on a Heartbreach, he was still like playing really aggressive, basically playing entry. Wimpy had never really done it before. He was always on like Blank Watch, Sludge.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing I'm pretty sure they tried both.
Yeah.
And it could also be map to map.
Yeah. I think it will be map to map. But I just think role wise, it's gonna hurt PB throughout the whole stage. It kind of showed today for a little bit. But another thing to note: creators. We talked about this, on last Thursday. We knew creators was gonna play well. Being in a new system, we knew creators.tempo was gonna come back out, and he definitely did. He was like, the real shining moment in this game, and this game really was close. There were, I believe, 3 1v1s, technically 4 if you want to count the last round, because it was a 2v1, but Yardy was just on the other side of the map, still outside. So, but Wimpy was in all 3 of those 1v1s, and he went one for 3. And I mean, obviously, he wins all 3 of those. They probably win this map, and these conversations are completely different. The way we see this map was completely different, but It was a close map, but I think at the end of the day, Beast Coast just looked better. And it wasn't like a, Beast Coast won because they looked less bad. Like, they played a good game. They just overall looked better than PB did. And whether that was playstyle, whether that was, just how they were today, or whether that's, how they just are good as a team, like, I think really the only thing I was really, impressed by today on behalf of PB was creators. And with their attacks as well, we'll kind of see it. Beast Coast did really well. Like, attacker repick isn't talked about enough. Like, on the desk. Like, PB is one of those teams, like, you really think about it, like, this is the team that should do the best with attacker repick. Like, they are known for, like, recreating, like, reinventing the wheel. Like, this should have really helped them out, and they did not utilize it. Beast Coast did a lot, and even though they only went 3-3 on a map that really, to my knowledge, is attacker-sided, and we'll see more throughout the stage and throughout the year, throughout all the regions, whether this really is attacker-sided or not. But they really utilized it. Like, I'm pretty sure Drip was on 3 different hard breaches over 6 rounds. Like, he was obviously playing Ace and Therm, but I'm pretty sure he was on Ace. Or, sorry, Hibana for a part of it as well.
He had played almost every hard breach.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed about the game, too, is PB, like, Beast Coast were playing a better game, but they also weren't completely playing together. Like, they were taking a lot of ones too.
Mm-hmm.
PB were just giving it to them, and a lot of times were just out positioned. Like, when PB's positioning, especially on their defenses, when PB's positioning was good, it was like really good.
Yeah.
And then when it was bad, it was atrocious. And it just so happened on their attack, it was bad more often than good. They just kept gifting Beast Coast the ones and walking in.
Yeah, against a team like
the thing about Border, though, is that it's hard to isolate, like, 2v1s on the map because it's so open. And you can open up so many of the walls. It's just really annoying to, like, actually, like, take, like, coordinated, like, 2v1s. So Border ends up being a lot like Coast. Like, playing a lot like Coast, where it's just a lot on gunfights. And that also just comes down back to them, like, map bans. And you can't really, like... Border is just going to be a lot like Coast, where you just have to take ones. And you just can't really do anything else than that. Just how the map is played. Because you have to spread out and take too much map control at the same time.
Yeah, I think PB kind of messed up the map bans there a little bit, because they took a team that, overall should be relying on ones. Obviously, we don't know if that's what they're going to keep doing. But, like, clearly today, they thrived in a place where they needed to take ones. Honestly, if PB could close out rounds, we'd be having a completely different conversation again. Like, there were, obviously the last round they lost on was a 2v5. There were multiple times where they had man advantage, where I can open up the stats real quick. where on entry it wasn't even that bad. It was only +2 on entry for Beast Coast. You know, like it wasn't really that big of a difference on entry, but they were losing these rounds at the end of rounds, not in the beginning. If that makes sense. I didn't like how PB kind of just like, you know, they took their time. They let Beast Coast play their game. I think Beast Coast were the tempo setters for this game, and that really was not a good thing.
I also just realized in this round when Surf got the kill because he saw the Osa setup on the default cam. I realized creators when he first walked into the building pinged the default.
He pinged the
And just
default,
no one.
and
Yeah, he
nobody
pinged
shot
the
it.
default like, hey, shoot this for me, and then no one was behind him, and I guess he just kind of forgot. He also just didn't shoot it like in between putting down his Osa shields, which was
Interesting. He probably just thought somebody did it. I mean, like I said, it was just small mistakes from them today. Like I honestly think like Beast Coast played really well today, but outside of, you know, Surf going
PB's
absolutely huge, like
PB's office takes were not great either.
I mean,
Can't
it
believe
was-
Jameson. I can't believe Kool-Aid lost that fight.
I can't believe it either. But like I said, they're putting him on Zoe. They're putting him in a place where he needs to win his gunfights. But I don't know. I think Parabellum really, like if they limited their mistakes, they would have won this game really handedly. Like there were just a lot of man advantages they threw away, a lot of like silly mistakes that they had, and outside of, you know, like Sweater played really well. He was like that aggression early, you know, was very very good. Anthony had a decent game, you know. Slash was probably doing his thing in the calls, but like outside of Surf's really big performance, like I'm still a little nervous about this Beast Coast team. I really am. It's just
Like,
one of
they
those
don't have
things.
massive-
Yeah, they can't really rely on Surf to keep going huge. I mean, they can, obviously. Like SSG's been doing it for like a fucking year now for hot and cold, but it's just not a reliable thing when you're, you know, a team trying to break into that top 4, top 5.
Hot and cold didn't like pop off.
Stage 2,
today, did
stage
he?
3. No, not at all.
No skies and bolts today.
Yep. But I don't know. I just think Parabellum definitely has their mistakes to soil up. They need to not lose map bans. You know, I think this game was basically decided beforehand with the map bans. Assuming they're a good border team, I still think like they shouldn't have went in the first place. But hey, I guess that is what it is. There's a lot of things we're kind of figuring out about teams early on. So
I'm also surprised.
mean,
Oh,
I think a lot of PV's mistakes would get like ironed out as the stage goes on, because like they were still doing tryouts like a month and a half ago.
not
Like
even,
they
I
hadn't
don't
even
think.
picked up. They hadn't even picked up Wimpy Creators until like late
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was still like the whole Blaz like situation that they had to go through and stuff. So they haven't really even had that much time together. Beast Coast has been a team since like at minimum like
SI
early
Open.
January.
Yeah.
At minimum, because I know that like that's when like they all moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've had at least like another month and a half together than PB has, and also PB like I get it, like 2 of them went to SI or 3 of them went to SI. Cooley didn't even play, but like most of them are rookies.
Yeah.
So like the nerves probably got to them, because the only one who actually played in the NL before is Creators. So
Yeah. And obviously he's the one that played insanely well.
Yeah.
Like Wimpy, this was his first game on LAN ever. You know, like the PB guys, I didn't really think they would have nerves. It looked like Eska had nerves to me. It looks like they all did, to be honest. But I didn't think they would, given that they, you know, had a good invite placing. You know, they played Rels. They handedly pretty much won Rels against Exet. The Exet team was not great, don't get me wrong, but at times they still didn't look that terrible. You know, like they won a few games that they, you know, should have won. But I don't know. It was just one of those things that I really didn't think the issues that they had today, I didn't think were going to be a thing, to be honest. You know, they have had that LAN experience besides Wimpy. Wimpy definitely had his, you know, his shakes today. You know, it was a big double kill from Surf. But like I said, I don't think there was anything too much of a standout between either of these teams. This is just one of those things where you look at it and we need a few more game days out of these guys. So I don't know.
yeah, I think people will really improve throughout this stage.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this was the closest game of the day though.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I kind of said, this was a trap game for PB. Um, so the fact that they lost and it was this close, I'm a little bit surprised. But I figured if they, if they won, it would have been close. If they lost, they kind of would have gotten smoked. Just because of clash of playstyles. Yeah, I figured the BC playstyle would really hurt PP. But I don't know. I think it's a good thing kind of looking at this. Just that overall, top to bottom, there's a lot more talent and a lot better teams top to bottom. It's a lot more competitive of a league than it ever was last year. I think there's obviously time that could change. But I think currently right now, like you look at Beast Coast, like Beast Coast was and Parabellum were basically on everybody's bottom three, and Beast Coast doesn't look that bad, but you got to see it against a team that's a little bit better. And we'll see for both of them tomorrow. With Beast Coast playing, I think DZ, and Parabellum plays Sonics, who absolutely got smoked, as we will be seeing next. But I do want to kind of skip ahead to the 2v5, the one that ended this game. Just this literally, like, this clip would highlight more than anything how this game went for PB.
Actually, I haven't seen it. I was at school. I didn't watch this game.
Well, you will see it now, but
So, it was rough.
it was just one of those things that losing a game like this and having a game tomorrow, this may have we'll just say an effect on them tomorrow. It's just not a way you should be losing games when you're in Pro League.
I don't think it'll have an effect on them because you remember at SI they lost their first.
Yeah.
They lost their first 3 games, and they lost the first game when it was like 0-7, right?
Yeah. No, they got
7-0 by
destroyed.
OXG.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I think their mental will be fine.
I just think it'll be fine. I just
Tomorrow.
meant in general, this, like, look, 2v5, minute and a half left. Obviously he brings one back 2v4, but, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, you can't be losing games like this in Pro League. Like, I get it's your first Pro League game, but, like, look, these people have been playing comp forever. Like, you can't lose maps like this, let alone rounds.
Ooh.
Like,
That's
you look at
honestly
this, in
unlucky.
20 seconds, look at that. In 20 seconds, I know it's unlucky, but in 20 seconds, it went from a 2v5 to a 2v2.
Yeah.
And Yardy's outside the map. Like, look at this. And then
Yeah, I
just
don't
an
know what
absolute
you-
shambles. Like, what's Wimpy doing? You know what I'm saying? And now what's
I don't
Eska
know
doing?
what
Like,
Wimpy
what are
doing.
they doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not a way you can lose a map. Like, you just can't lose a map like that. So, I don't know. That's kind of my issue with PB. Like, it's just one of those things. I think they'll be fine after this. But that's just a way, like, even if they go to OT and they lose an OT, that's still a point, Like, every point's going to matter. And getting 0 points, like, obviously, like, there's a lot more to see out of Beast Coast. But at the end of the day, like, I think it's still a common theme among everybody else that, like, this is still going to be, like, a bottom 3, bottom 4 team. That's kind of everybody's perception right now. My perception on that hasn't changed. I think they're not a bottom 1 team, bottom 2 team, like I said they would be. I think they'll still be bottom 3, bottom 4. But these, like, when you're a bottom 5, bottom 4 team, these are the teams that you need to be getting points from.
Yeah.
That's what Mirage had been doing for the most part. It was what DZ was doing for the most part. They were winning games against the teams they were supposed to. That's where you get your points, and that's how you stay out of the bottom. PB losing this game, not even getting 1 point, let alone 2 out of this, was very bad for them. Beast Coast getting 3 points out of this was very good for them. So I think this is a perfect matchup for BC, at the beginning of the stage to get a game, like a team like this, a team that was obviously going to struggle in the beginning, but I don't know. I think Beast Coast is definitely off to a really, really good start. PB's got a lot of work to do, but I think they'll be okay. I kind of said it in my early power rankings. They naturally are very good against Pro League teams, structured teams, so I think they'll be okay. But going on to the last part of this matchup, we had the Drip Bullen interview, and there were some fiery things said. I will have this,
And he's coming for DZ.
completely up.
Yes, we can hear you just
And we
fine.
could just
So,
listen along here real
congrats
quick.
on the first win of the season. Now, of course, obviously there was a bit of roster shuffling going on. So my question to you is, how were comms first time out? Obviously been practicing a little bit together, but was it as clean in game as it was in practice? How'd it go?
Yeah, it was pretty clean. Unlike Parabellum, who has 3/5 of the same players have been playing together for about 20 years, this was our first game ever together, and it was a pretty sloppy game. But at the end of the day, the dogs come out on top, and I mean the comms are good. I mean, but we got to play a little bit better. We want to do better because PB's bottom of the barrel for a reason. We're not trying to be with them.
Oh, so you don't put a lot of stock in this win then? This isn't a big deal, huh?
A win's a win. That's all I'll
Sure.
say. This was an expected result. Expected.
Okay.
Fair, but talk about how the new guys did. Both of the players that had never played like in a land environment before, Sweater and Surf. Sweater had like 3 opening kills on defense, lurking offsite, and I think Surf was in double digits before Creators was. Talk about how both them played.
Yeah, so Sweater, we all know was going to be a good player, but a lot of people doubt Surf, and I've teamed with a lot of players.
Yeah, we can skip ahead a little bit. You know, we can
Surf
skip
is
ahead a
one of
little
the
bit.
most mechanically gifted.
I just want to get to what he said about DZ.
This is just the beginning for him, so
I think
what's there to
Beast
be
Coast might
stressed
beat
about?
them.
Just have some fun, and we had fun too. We had a good time, and winning's fun, so.
Well, I want you to kind of elaborate on the you expected result because I actually wanted to ask you. You know, PB's playing without Blast. That's apparent.
Oh, come on now. All right, Cookies.
Got
Get to the point.
relegated. You know, Wimpy's better than Blaz. Who is Blaz?
Whoa.
Blaz is some European kid that got relegated. You
I
know
know
who else got
exactly.
relegated? Creators. So at the end of the day, I don't care if they have Blaz. I don't care if they have Bolo. You know, like come to this region. Every European player who's come to this region has sucked. So you know what? I don't expect Blaz to be any different.
All right. So we're going to let you go in a moment, but one last quick question for you. You have a lot of confidence, obviously. Why wouldn't you? But do you have enough confidence to give us a prediction as far as the Beast Coast scoreline for the rest of the series, rest of the stage? What's it going to be? 9-0? 10-0?
Maybe you know what? I think the way I'm talking, I think I'm pretty much Lebron affecting us. I know Cookie thinks that is, but I don't think we're gonna win a game the rest of the stage. But I will say, Troy Canadian, you're next on my fraud list. You're
Oh.
next.
Oh, okay.
That's all I need out of that. So I just I don't know, man. I do think there's a good shot that BC will actually win tomorrow against DZ.
Yeah.
DZ looked good today, don't get me wrong, but I just where's Matt Bands? Jesus Christ. But I just think I don't know, man. I think BC is just one of those teams that they're just gonna have a matchup. I think early on they're gonna have a lot of success, but I don't know. I like him calling out Canadian like that. I really do.
I think BC could be a lot like Stage 1 OXG from last year.
I agree with you as well. They definitely. I think they have the talent. They can make noise. But going
'Cause,
on.
like they didn't. The thing about OXG is people didn't really know what to expect with Kino and Yogg coming
Mhm.
in, and then so they like did really well Stage 1, and then Stage 2 people know what they were doing, and they didn't really change a lot. So it was kind of the same stuff, and then obviously for Stage 3 and Invite they switched a lot. That's why they started performing better. But there's just a lot of unpredictability with BC right now.
Yeah.
I think especially with how aggressively they play, they could. DZ has just never ever done well against aggressive teams.
No, not at all. But going into game 2, Astralis versus Sonics. Now this one was a little of a shocker, some would say. I don't think this one is as much of a shock. I actually rate this Astralis team pretty highly. Outside of Stage 3 last year, Stage 1, Stage 2, the core of the 4 that they kept was a pretty good team. They placed 4th and they placed 5th. And then obviously picking up, Forest to replace Retro, getting a call out, was definitely an upgrade, we'll just say. But I think Sonics really fucked up. In the nicest way possible, they fucked up very badly on these map bans. Astralis obviously did their thing. They banned out all of Sonic's good maps. But Sonics, I don't know, man. Leaving up Sky was a really big mistake to me. Just because I think you look at Callout, you look at Forest. Callout himself is a very big, he's an innovator. Normally his teams are very good on new maps. So I think that obviously showed today. It looked like one team knew how to play Sky and it looked like the other didn't. As I think the result mostly showed. But kind of going into the game, Iconic played out of his fucking mind for starters. Shuttle also played really well. Round 1 even. I can go back. Huge clutch. They had 3 huge clutches this game. Strauss did. With round 1. You know, they you know, I don't know, man. Like I said, you look at that, literally 3 kills in a span of like 5 seconds. Shuttle clutched that one out. They just overall in their defenses, to my knowledge, Spiker, you've been scrimming a lot more than I have, but to my knowledge, this is an attacker-sided map. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it just seems like one of those where it's like going down this big on your attacks is a little not good.
I think it's like a 3-3-4-2
Like 4-2
It's not
attack
like
or 4-2 defense.
attack. Like 3-3-4-2. Like either
Yeah.
way, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either
but
way.
if you're gonna 2-4 and attack, then you're like in a bad spot.
And let alone.
It's a lot like honestly, like Border and Sky are both very similar in the way that the score line should go. To the point where like they're both attacker sided, but they're not like so attacker sided to the point where you should be getting 4-1, 4-2s or you're like done.
Yeah. And obviously this is the one round that Sonics won. And it was a 1v2 clutch from Grixer. If this doesn't really show how the map goes, you know, or doesn't tell you, like they had zero convincing on this map that they should have won this game. There was no like sign of life from Sonics. They just got absolutely fucked, you know? So, I don't know. There's not even much to say about this besides I don't even think it was necessarily Sonics. Like, they just need to ban this map out basically the rest of the stage. They have so much work to do on this map. It's actually wild to me. I think it's just one of those things where it's just a map. Sonics, in general, they normally do well in best of ones, in my opinion, because they don't have a strong map pool. They are known for not having a strong map pool. But, you know, this is clearly not in their map pool.
Yeah.
So I don't even think there's that much to talk about with this game. But Astralis looks good. I'll be honest.
Look good. They look a lot better with Forest. They look more composed.
Agreed. I just think, and I think Iconic was saying this in the after post-game interview, but they're just more confident and they're more comfortable. The way that Callout and Forest are, they're more enablers, we'll just say, is the word. They are good at getting the best out of their teammates, and clearly they did it. Iconic went 16-4 today. You know, Shuttle, this is after a rehost, by the way. Like, he had 3 kills in round 1. So in the first 4 rounds of the game, he started 7-1. Shuttle did. And Shuttle was, like, statistically their worst player, second worst player, for the past couple of stages, alongside Retro. A lot of people were saying that Shuttle should have been dropped over Retro. But
I was one of those people.
Yeah, a lot of people said it. And I just think you look at the way that the roster is, and I kind of said this too, they were going to adapt the style of, you know, the Ape style with Callout and Forest, and I said they had the talent to do it, more so than Beast Coast. I figured Beast Coast would have that style, which they do, but Astralis has more of the talent to do it. I mean, you look at the core of the 3, Iconic, J9, and DP, like, come on, man. That is a very talented trio. It kind of just comes down to, and I think they're obviously doing this, they are doing what they can to play around those 3, and make them as comfortable as possible, which we get into the DZ game later. I think that's kind of the reason why they're struggling, is because they're not playing into Hyper, NJR, and Pamba as much as they should be. And I think that's why this Astralis team will have a lot more success than DZ will this stage. But, you know, long stage, we'll see what happens. But we'll even go towards later on their attacks. And, hey, yo. I mean,
I also think that like Forrest literally fits that team perfectly with like the way that he plays and shit. Because like he is the guy who's like one of the most annoying people to play on the map because he's always everywhere. Like if you play him on Villa, he'll just be in the basement.
Yeah, exactly.
Which just fits Astralis perfectly because
they're
just like
he always knows.
Yeah, like they just like I don't know. Especially like this like Border and Sky. Although I guess you can't really get really rowdy on Border, but like on Sky, like he could literally go anywhere on the map that he wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch the game very closely, and he's on A, so I don't think he did that.
Yeah.
But like, it's still just like it just fits Astralis perfectly because
It's
they
more
play
the
like
principle.
Leash and they play like off frags, and Forrest just provides that perfectly for them.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think just the way this map looked, like I said, they look good. Roll wise, like they definitely, you know, they have the clutch potential. I kind of missed actually the clutch the DP clutch. That shit was insane.
They've
I
been
believe it was this round.
they've clearly been taught the Forest intuition.
Yeah, and this is it
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
this is the round that Forest purposefully.
Yes. As
died.
like we'll go back. You know, we'll see.
Yeah,
Well,
well-
Crow can analyze this whole play.
Yeah. So right, we called Forest an enabler. So first of all, I kind of wish. That's
course.
kind of sad. But see, so Forest forces over the Hibana because he knows DP fire is coming from the other direction. He swings like a monkey to purposefully light up the Iana just to give DP fire the highlight play, and it works.
Yeah.
Forest is just the greatest IGL of our time.
Of course,
That's definitely what it did. Yeah.
it's of course what
Not
happened.
like he was smoking. He wasn't smoking where the planter was. He was smoking so that DP could come in. Yeah.
Well,
I
of course
agree.
he smoked the planter so he would move to the other side. Spiker.
Oh yeah.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
because when DP was coming from from mainstairs, he'd be able to see him through the door.
Of course.
I see,
Um,
yeah, okay.
Like we said, that was kind of a big thing. And obviously to end the map, we had a nice little cold moment.
Oh my god!
from Iconic. Mm.
The fact that he
Mm-mm-mm.
stuck this, I guess they thought they killed the planter with that.
I think they did. But you know, not playing for the stats. He played for it, but this reaction after clutching was nice. Is icy cold, from him, and I mean, it was just like it was just a tale of tape. You know, like this like the second that bomb got down and he got that kill, like you knew he was winning this the whole time.
Especially, dude, the fact that he played so passively was so good. Like Rexon wasted so much time just looking for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was chilling at the minibar the entire time.
I mean,
like,
they also had
not-
info, but
that too, yeah.
and look at
Like,
that.
Not moving a fucking muscle. Iconic just sat there, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not. When Iconic started moving, I was really scared Rexon was gonna hear it, but I guess
I just
I
don't
was
think
just
he really had enough time, anyways. Even if he tucked, he would have had to go over and plant or defuse, anyways. By the time he even got close to the bomb, there's only like 10 seconds left. So, we can go straight into the DZ Mirage game.
Obama.Embers plays today.
Let's see where we got. Where's the map bands? Is it before or after? It's before. I always hate doing this. I need to like mark these. I really do. This was not one that I was excited to watch. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. I just Bank, which we saw twice today. Today was a very big mixed emotions day for the maps. We got all 3 new maps, and then we got 2 banks. And Bank, in my opinion, is a snooze fest. It's better than Oregon. It's better than Club.
I don't like
but it is a snooze fest. I think right now we are in a good part of the map pool. I think Cafe is kind of fun to watch. I kind of have my opinions on the map. I don't like it that much. But, I mean, Border Theme, Sky, Chalet, and Bank. 5 maps that a year ago, you know, outside of Chalet. Chalet was just added a year ago. That's 5 new maps. Obviously, the map pool is 9 instead of 7 now. But, you know, that's 5 new maps in the last year. Where normally that's just not what happens in Siege, you know? Normally there's the same maps for the most part. The same maps go in, same maps go out. But
It's more like 4 new maps because theme just kind of.
well, yeah, but
isn't
you
really
you know what I
a
mean.
map.
I just meant in general, just to the map pool. You know, theme hasn't been in there for like
Yeah,
a,
there's
you know, a
been
year and a
5
half.
changes, yeah.
So, but I mean, you look at this one. I don't really have much of a say on either of these teams' map pools. I think DZ probably looked at it. They probably knew what maps Mirage wanted to go to or not. I don't think Mirage looked comfortable on this map at all. I mean, they just didn't look comfortable, period, to be honest with you. I think the fact that Mirage let the last 2 maps be Chalet and Bank really showed me they had no idea what was going on. I think DZ is a pretty good Bank team, and they're a very good Chalet team. So kind of letting it get down to those 2 and really having to pick between those 2 shows that there was a mistake in their map bans. Or that their map pool just isn't big enough.
I'm kind of surprised they picked Cafe, to be honest.
What, Band Cafe?
Yeah.
I mean, I know DZ is pretty good on it, but I just think it was just one
I
of
mean,
the
I'm not
shows.
surprised they picked Villa because historically, like, GZ's been, like, Jesus on Villa. Like, those guys are just different on that shit. And then I guess they just aren't comfortable on theme, but I'm kind of surprised on Cafe.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it was a big blunder on their part. Like I said, it was a lot like the honestly a lot like the last 2 games, to be honest with you. These games were basically decided before, you know, the game even started with map bans. Like I said, big blunder. We can go into it, but honestly, on the defensive side of things, Mirage, like I said, they just didn't look comfortable. We kind of all questioned the pickup of Marm. They picked up Melted and Razor. Marm didn't have a great game today, but I don't think she was necessarily as big of an issue as people were going to make her out to be. Obviously, KD-wise, she didn't play great. But, like, even on their attacks, like, we'll go to it later, they attacked Tellers twice, and they couldn't get the kitchen wall open once. And they didn't open the kitchen castle. They didn't really do much of anything. Melted had secondary hard breaches. He never got it open. I thought Melted played very badly today. Specifically on defense.
A lot of weird stuff.
He gave a lot of picks.
Like there was a round where he was holding like back by Vault. I don't actually know what the wow, it's just dawning on me. I don't actually know what that room is called.
The elevator lobby?
Which one?
Yeah, the one like outside elevator in the basement.
Who knows what that's called?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, who knows what that's called? It's not even the point.
But yeah, that room, and he just like swung the elevator hatch. Like, Melted was making a lot of weird peaks.
Yeah, they could have won a lot more rounds on defense. I'm pretty sure they only 2-4'd on defense. Which...
I mean, just looking at this, I feel like I don't know. They were just kind of letting DC do like what DC wanted. Like they didn't really have a counter for it. Like they didn't have any impacts to be able to like impact trick that wall. And like since they banned Monty, they probably should have known that Thatcher would have been up.
Yeah.
Or at least like planned for it. And they only had a mute chamber there like protecting that wall. And that wall opening just kind of fucks their whole strategy. You'll see because Hamba just fucking kills the class and jumps in and kills 2 more people.
Also didn't make much sense to me too because they had the Echo.
So,
they put Melted on it, and he's just going rogue clearly.
I mean, I don't really think that's that bad looking at like the positions and like who else they had, but like
I mean,
yeah,
you just can't let that
like
play happen.
they needed impacts or something there.
Yeah,
like playing that shield is just kind of like a thing that you just need.
Yeah.
I assume I would have to because normally, right, you see that position is Wamai. Like,
yeah,
DZ banned the Wamai and Mirage just didn't know who to replace him with.
I don't think they've replaced the Wamai with the Clash. I think they just didn't have a Wamai in their strat.
They just
usually if you switch a position, the same person's gonna play there, right? So like, and like it was Thomas and Razor. Razor's on Jaeger, and that's just they didn't switch that.
Unless that was something where Thomas was just like, hey, like, what if we play Clash here?
I mean, it could have been. I don't know if they do that first round, but I don't know.
I don't think they would if it did. It was just a bad call because that just took away their impacts, which just gave them the wall for free, which is like made them lose the strat or lose the round. I'm pretty sure they rerun it later.
Also, Clash literally has impact.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
They just looked very underwhelming. You know, they were very not prepared. It looked like. I don't know.
Doesn't Canadian get like destroyed by a C4 here?
He does not get destroyed by a C4. He gets destroyed by a gun. They just didn't like. I'll be honest. Like, I think everybody had Mirage and Beast Coast in their bottom 2. Beast Coast actually looked pretty good today. For the most part, even if they lost today, you know, there'd be signs of life. Mirage just blows, dude. Like straight up, they suck. And there's a lot of issues here. Ben played well today. Ben played really well today. He did good on entry. I think he went 2-0 on entry. Razor did not have a good defensive half, but he played all right on the attack side. But obviously their attacks were just abysmal, so it didn't really matter what he was doing gun skill wise. It's just this team does not look good. Whether that was a map or just I don't know.
Like going back to like them letting DC like do what they wanted, like. They literally let DC sit in server for like a minute 30 and didn't rotate their only nitro downstairs.
Yeah, we were talking about that before.
And like they were kind of working the flank, but they were just trying to force it through fucking 2 doorways.
Oh yeah.
And like
dude, this was funny.
And like they ended up winning this round. Like it was a good retake, but they just didn't really do anything during the round.
Yeah. And honestly, they shouldn't have really at the end of the day have won this round. It was like a 4v3, 5v3 retake. and they ended up taking upstairs control. So I don't know. I think
if Pamba pushes down the stairs earlier instead of just dropping, maybe he wins that. Because that smoke was trapped in a corner, 1 HP with up against Finka LMG.
I don't know. I think the one thing that I'm liking about is obviously they, they're getting hype after round wins. They clearly want to win, but it's just like it's just one of those things. Like where you look at Beast Coast, you look at Parabellum, those mistakes, or those things, we look at it and it's like, oh, this will come with time. You look at this Mirage thing, there's not really many takeaways.
Their issues don't look like they'll be
solved
with time. It's just fundamental
issues. Yeah,
it isn't like the PB mistakes where it's like their late rounds are falling apart or whatever.
They just didn't drone enough. Or
yeah,
they just weren't playing.
This is just these attacks.
Yeah, it's they had the teller's control, bottom square control at a minute 30, and they had 2 thermites and 2 heart breaches, and they couldn't get the wall open.
Yeah, it's just they
couldn't get either wall open.
Yeah,
and it's first of all, this janitor, I guess that's just a good impact, but somebody should be on those holes to the point where Hyper can't do that.
Yeah.
Or they should also open the janitor hatch. I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah, you can see into that doorway from the hatch to stop that.
And look at this. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but
yeah, we can see.
They opened above, they opened in stock.
He's got two of these things. Got 2 little heart breach charges. Didn't use one of them.
Heart breaches.
And look at that. They didn't open up the castle, and this isn't just the first time they did it. It's the second, both times they did it when they were attacking this site. Okay. They went to open the wall and they didn't do anything with it. And now you have your Zoe. By the way, he still has impacts. They had it gone. Obviously, they opened it. So it's just one of those things. You look at this roster, and this is just, it's not even just them not being good at this map. This is just fundamental errors against a DZ team, which, by the way, in my opinion, is still struggling at times. Pamba played out of his mind today, but if you don't have Pamba going absolutely nuclear on their attacks, where would they be? So it's just one of those things. I don't know, man. I'm very scared about this Mirage team. I really, really am.
I don't think it was a map thing because they have 4 bans.
Yeah.
They literally have 4 map bans. They at this point there shouldn't be a map that gets through that you aren't comfortable on.
Yeah.
And I get there's 9 maps or whatever, but you literally have 4 bans. You can get away with having 2 auto bans in BO1s.
I mean, look, you're a pro league team,
which most of the NIL season is. So
you're a pro league team. I've said this so many times, even in CL, I make fun of it, but I was also, with Nemesis, we talked about it last episode, we literally would pick 4 maps and only scrim 4 maps. We had 2 auto bans, but when you're getting paid this much money to play this game at this level, you spend all day playing, there should not be a single map, more than 1 map in the pool that you are not comfortable on. There's no way that you should ever, even in a best of 3, where, you should only have 1 auto ban. There's no reason for a pro league team to not be good at 8, 7 of the maps, even all 9 of the maps. And if this is a map that they let through, I'm terrified for their map pool. Obviously they banned Villa. That was a counter ban for DZ. They could be comfortable on that map, Mirage, and just been smarter that no matter how good they are on that map, they're probably going to lose it. But
I think that if they were comfortable on it, they wouldn't have banned it first, though.
I can agree with that. But
I think they would have left it up later just to see what else DC would ban.
Yeah, I don't know. Their map pool scares me a lot. Benji playing well is a good thing to me. He was one of my X factors. He's consistently average in my opinion. He's not a guy who's going to lose you a game, but he's not one that's going to win you a game. But when you bring on Razor, and you bring on Melted, who are supposed to be, Melted was really, really good when he was on Wichita. Not really as good when he was on PB, but he was very good on Wichita. And you bring in Razor, who everyone knew was the best player on XSET. He's supposed to be this playmaker. You bring on those guys, they're supposed to complement Benji, because Benji's, he's just the solid guy. He's supposed to, and they didn't perform at all in any way. Thomas didn't perform either. Obviously, the IGLing was off. I said this on Thursday. I thought they should have picked up Vivid over Marm. And obviously, he was getting looked at, like we talked about. He would have been IGLing this team. I think that was the reason why he wasn't picked up, is because they didn't want a complete change in their system. But you watch the way that they were attacking. it really begs the question, like, should they have changed the system? Because you look at Vivid's teams, obviously his teams are better. People will say this. Like, his teams were better in CL than, Marm's teams were, blah, blah, blah. But, like, his teams, like, you looked at it last stage 3, including playoffs, in 16 maps, they got 30 bombs down, right? That's just obviously a stat. You can't really, throw statistics out for, how good he is of an IGL, but that's just like it's just one of the things you can, like, get a taste of how good their IGLing was. But, like, the order of doing things on their attacks, like, they started clearing blue before they even got hatch open.
Yeah.
It's just IGL wise, it just looked awful.
They were also just completely burning with smokes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at their lineup, they literally have they have no burn except for the thermite smokes.
And you have attacker repick.
I guess they have yeah. Like, I just think that.
Also, they're burning with the Zocam or with the zero cams.
I don't see why they would.
They weren't. I don't think they were.
I mean, Melted was on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their lineup is good. I think that, like, they needed Marm to run smokes or run flashes to switch to smokes on certain sites they wanted it. But basement is not a site where you need smokes, especially if you run like an OSA.
I mean, this was the only attack round that they won. It was,
and also you don't need smokes if you're just gonna plant default or plant on the reinforcement. Like, look, they can implant them like without smokes. Like, they don't need smokes on the site. There's no reason to run them.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that, going back to the Vivid point, like, his team, the thing about his RTL is that they were always very slow. And obviously that was a lot better in SCS with Newers. Yeah. And I think that it would have been a lot better with Razor.
I agree.
Their first 3 games. In their first 3 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, I think Ben would have been great with them as well.
Well, I mean, they used to team together, and that was. I mean, they didn't have like an issue with slowness back then. So, I think that the main reason why they were so slow is just I don't think that Inrio was incredibly fast as an entry.
Yeah.
Or at least like fast in the way that Vivid wanted him to be.
Subarctic is also not a fast
player.
And
Sub was very slow. So, and like, what's the thing with Newers? You could literally just see an SCS, like, they were just in the map, like, going.
Yeah.
I think
Newers is a dude that will just simply walk in, and now you have, like, I remember I was talking to Tyler Kento, and he was saying, like, on aerial, he was never like he would do what he needed to do, but he was never nearly as confident.
Yeah, I talked to him about that like a couple weeks ago too.
And even like at the beginning of like when he was on IF and shit, like he wasn't as confident, but now that he's had more time to grow and he's comfortable, like he and Young Alec are now both those guys that will just walk in.
I think that after this stage, if assuming the rest of it goes well, which I think it will, and like they'll see that like the issues with the IG line are like gone to the point where they're not too slow now. I think that he'll get a lot more looks, because that was the main criticism that he was given, was that his teams are always very slow, which seems to be gone now. Although 2 of the games were off stream, so I don't really know.
Like I said,
I VOD reviewed. We VOD reviewed the 2 off-stream ER games. One was against
NKG.
Nocturnes. Yeah, it was NKG on Bank, which I'm so sad didn't get streamed. Yeah. And then Karn & Co on Chalet, which was weird. I still don't know why Karn & Co let ER play Chalet.
I don't think it really mattered as much because they're playing with Indy. But yeah, I still agree with
I'm not gonna lie, Indy was not doing bad.
Indy on entry. I don't think Indy's been on entry since like his T4 days. That's
what I'm saying. Because he was even on.
He played incredibly.
He was on Fike Watch, bro.
Yeah, because he was even playing support in like on like Versity and shit.
He was.
But ER were fast against Nocturnes. Like every time Nocturnes tried to roam, ER would clear them, with the exception of a couple rounds. LSR would clear them really quickly. I remember round 1 against against Nocturnes. Nocturnes had a 3-man roam, 2 in open area, 1 in kitchen, and 1 on like marble stairs, like kind of like rotating up and down. And in like 45 seconds to a minute, LSR set up, started to go in, and got 4 kills like back to back without a single trade. And then against Karn & Co, I mean, they were playing Chalet, and they just smothered them.
Yeah. And I don't want to stay on...
They've looked really good.
I think like Bank and Chalet are just like the perfect maps for the way that Vivid likes to go. Like, even because he likes to go slow, even if like The thing about it now is that like they're not too slow, right? So like he'll get like they will be set up by like a minute, but like now, but they used to be set up like 20 seconds, which was an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bank is just like such a clinical map where you like very like incredibly step by step. Kind of the same thing with Chalet. Like you have to just take certain map control and clear certain util, and then you do the next thing, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And that just fits perfectly into their playstyle. So like, I don't know why teams would take them to those maps in general. It's kind of like taking Karnako to Organized Club. Like
Yeah, you
you're
don't
just
do
not
it.
gonna beat those guys on that map or on like those maps.
I don't want to stay on this game too much longer, but
We're
I
not
just
even
think
talking about that game anymore.
yeah,
so.
I just think for the most part it's just one of those things where like for Vivid, like I think right now, even if it was like a slow thing, like it's just I think it's okay to be slow in this meta in a sense for half these maps. Like Border's a really small map, Sky's a really small map. Theme you kind of gotta obviously be a little quicker, but there's a lot of maps in the pool right now where it's okay to be slow. So like I said, I don't think that was necessarily the problem with him getting picked up. I think it'll be harder for him to get picked up between stages. I think they just didn't want to change systems completely that close to the stage. To my knowledge, they have Thomas IGLing and Razor shot calling, and I don't know. I just their attacks just did not look good. The only attack that they won was obviously one that, in my opinion, they really shouldn't have won. But we go back to this, and it's the same thing. You would have think that they would have learned after the first time, after taking map control. And I actually liked the way DZ set this up. They kind of baited Mirage to take Archives Tellers. They reinforced the small wall completely, which I really liked. They obviously like gave them the control, but there's also the play that they made towards the end of this round that was beautiful. Canadian and I think it was Pamba, but I don't know, man. It's just one of those things that like you look at this, and when you're clearing out, top of the map, you're clearing out tellers. It's good to leave that castle closed, but you obviously have this wall open now, and why on earth are you not opening that castle to get the wall open? It just makes no sense to me. Like, this play was gorgeous, right? They take down both hard breaches, basically. But I don't know. I just don't think they are on a good page at all.
The C4,
This was gorgeous. Yeah, Eclipse and Canadian.
I mean, I obviously it was an issue with like this round, but they also didn't open Gender Hatch this round either, which is
Exactly.
like, if you open that hatch, like open that hatch and then it's still open one Archives wall and you're fine. Like that's just a fine breach. But if you open Gender Hatch, you could basically deny them from getting close to the kitchen wall at all.
Exactly. So,
which would kind of take away the impact tricking.
Yeah.
And look at this. It's
Especially
still
with that
not
wide
open.
Like, Oryx opened that wall. Like that's more than enough to see
Exactly.
most of kitchen wall. Just open.
Yeah,
the
and I mean they can
castle.
always
you have
like.
a Zoe.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and they still haven't opened the castle.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
like,
The
and you've
castle's
got
still
like,
closed.
and there's especially no excuse because like, if you're afraid of like, if you want to conserve the Zoe's utility and like you're obviously no one's gonna walk up and breaching charge that. Like you have the Gon on 0.
Well, you can breach and charge that wall from E-Box. Although that is why DZ like opened the they put footholds
Ben
in the
have
wall
it?
so that you can breach charge it. If you look
Yeah.
at the E-Box wall, they put footholds in it so you can breach it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is
that's smart.
smart.
Yeah. I think
But
Ben
I
did
mean,
have breaches. That's
they
probably why he
also
was
just
where he
weren't-
was.
They also like weren't running the ranged hard breach, and like there's 6-bit or there's fucking repick. Just get off the map
Yeah.
when they don't have a Cade and
Yeah.
get on a Hib or an Ace.
It was just weird. They
Or even a
saw the
like,
same
just
strat.
Just play a Thatcher. Thatcher's up. Just play a Thatcher.
Yeah, they saw the same. That's what I was talking about too. Is the stubbornness. Attacker repick exists. Like they didn't utilize it at all. They clearly didn't prepare to be able to run attacks without the ops that they had. Those 5 ops, and it still was gross. Like if they had those set attacks and they looked good with their attacks, we'd be having a different conversation. Even if they were losing the rounds, it's like, all right, what they had was good, but they need to be able to adjust better in game. But like, dude, like even what they had looked awful. So, we'll move on now. I don't want to stay too much on this game,
Right.
but this game was obviously everybody's, I would say everybody's most looked forward to. And it was a good game, yeah. But TSM OXG. TSM, obviously, invite winners coming off of it. And then you got OXG, who, in my opinion, at parts of last year were the best team in NA. They kind of got screwed over with COVID luck, stuff like that, but they were a very good team. They lost Kina, they lost Yogg, they got Dream, and they got Newers. I think the big concern was we knew what we were getting out of Dream, but the main thing was, is Newers going to be New Crew, or is he going to, kind of not play as well in a pro league environment? And obviously, those questions got answered today.
Yeah, he played. I mean, and it wasn't like how they made the young Alec argument where like, oh, he's fragging, but like he's doing it against the lower tier teams because that was first.
And not
like,
even just that, but
TSM
impactless
first.
frag, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
like,
was a good game.
It's not like they were up against, a brand new Exit, a brand new Beast Coast, Miraji didn't. They were against world champs.
Yeah, I mean, I also do think that Newers got thrown into a lot better situation than Alec did, to be honest. 'Cause
Well, yeah.
Alec, obviously Alec got thrown into like people who had experience, but like they were people who had 2 stages of PL experience. Like Newers got thrown into a situation with people who have literally been playing since year 1, like basically all of them, like in PL. So like all that like veteran leadership, like you can also see with like Kino and Yaga, like how fast they like became really good. Like stage 1, they kind of struggled.
Yeah.
And then, but like they really picked it up after that, and actually no, I think they played really well in stage 1.
Yeah, Kino. I
don't
remember
remember.
Kino's very first round in Pro League was the
he aced,
Thermite
right?
Ace. Yeah.
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 No, I mean, yeah, it just shows like how well OXG's always picked up like young rookies for
Yeah.
the most part.
No, Fox 8 gatekeeps talent. Remember?
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
Fox
yeah,
8
my bad,
keep
sorry.
silent. But
Yeah.
all right, going to the map bans. Honestly, there were no surprises. I don't even think there really would be, given the fact that I think these two teams have very built map pools. OXG banning Chalet, TSM getting rid of Club, getting rid of Oregon. I think this was just a preference
I
thing.
think it was more. Yeah, I think it was literally like the teams getting rid of the other teams' maps. They
Yeah.
just didn't want to play on them.
And I think it was fine. I think both teams probably for the most part went to the map that they wanted to.
And both were very good theme park teams.
They were both very good
When it was
theme
on the
park teams.
They were
So
both.
we don't even really need to talk about this that much. But
I want to say I'm surprised that Bank got that deep in the bans, to be honest, considering how good how dominant TSM has been ever
Yeah.
since it came back into the pool.
I think
Also,
this was
who had the first or who had last ban?
OXG.
Yeah.
So they got rid of Bank. I think it was just like kind of going off of what you said, Harrison, earlier. They didn't want to insta ban, the best map. They knew they had last ban. They knew if TSM left it up, they could have gotten rid of it. So I think it wasn't
I said
necessarily a
that.
thing. That was you?
I said that earlier.
All right. My fault.
I'm surprised that Bank didn't get banned in the middle.
I think it was
Yeah.
fine
I
to
mean,
leave
hey,
up
maybe-
till
I mean,
late,
maybe-
but
Maybe OXG, like, in order to solidify theme, maybe they're kind of like baiting TSM and
yeah, and to maybe go into Bank. I mean, at the end of the day, I think
Hard
OXG knew since they had last ban, they knew that no matter what, Bank was going to be out.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that was fine for them.
I mean, it
kinda
was
just
probably
like-
also at the point where like they were fine with the like Sky theme and Bank, or
yeah,
at least like they were fine with Sky and theme. So
yeah.
I'm
So,
also surprised. I'm surprised Bolo did as poorly as he did.
I mean, he had a very bad start. He did very well towards the end. But
Yeah, he was like 0-5, I think.
yeah, he started off. He was 0-5 on their defenses. OXG looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone said that Kino and Yaga to Dream and Newers was kind of a downgrade in a sense. I thought, and people would say if Newers played well, obviously, like this dude's a generational talent type thing. Like obviously it'll be an upgrade, but just like I thought Dream was an upgrade to Kino. Dude's been way more experienced. It was a large reason why Mirage was any good last year, let alone in SI quals. He's just talented and he's a good player.
Dream has always been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he's like what you're getting out of him. And then obviously Newers was good. Lax, look, statistically played very well today, but in my opinion, most of his frags were impactless. Like as opposed to Newers, like we said, every single kill that dude was getting was important. It just went to show how I wish there was a way you could gauge impact and impactless frags. There obviously isn't, unless you're like really, really, really paying attention.
Unless you're just saying like impact frags or frags you get when you win the round.
Yeah, exactly. Or like early frags. It's just so hard to gauge it. So, but I thought like Lax didn't play bad.
I don't think Newers got any like maybe one or two, but never got any like late round frags where they would lose.
Yeah, exactly.
The kills he was getting is like he was like winning the rounds. Like especially on defense. Like when they were going into defense, I think he was at like 6 or 7 kills, and then when they ended defense, it was like 14 or 15 after like
Yeah.
5 rounds of defense.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were even on the attack too. Like so many were early.
Yeah,
really
like
early
like
engagement.
entry picks. Yeah.
This win was massive, by the way, as well. I think we all know when two very good teams are playing against each other, like winning rounds like this are super important. You're not gonna win the whole game. It's a lot of times you're not gonna win 7 rounds because you're playing better. You know, like these are two very good teams playing against each other. Those kind of close rounds, even the ones that you don't deserve to win, like obviously are huge. So
Yeah.
I think like seeing rounds like that go in the way of OXG like was big. But it really was interesting to see TSM go down 3-0, you know, like being put that much on a back foot coming off of being world champs.
Team defense too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it wasn't like it was like, you know, like it's not like we're talking about Sky defense or, you know, border defense even. Like we're talking about theme defense. So I don't know. I think Bolo took a really long time to get into the game. Geo obviously took a long time to get in the game, but I just think OXG is really a very good team. Like I said, we talked about it. If Newers was, you know, playing well, this team would be really good. I think they're a top 3 team. I don't think that's any question. They showed up very well early. Obviously, this isn't what they anticipated. Newers was originally on Mirage. Dream, obviously, both of them on Mirage, which also kind of like makes you think how Mirage really would have done if the two of them were still on the team.
Yeah.
But
like would Newers have had the ability to
I don't think so. Not in
like
this sense.
yeah.
Not without Fox. It would have been Tommy over Fox, and I don't think you know.
Fox and Laxing have been.
I mean,
they've
if
been around
if
for
the
fucking
like
forever.
OXG thing hadn't happened, Dream would still be at Mirage too.
Exactly.
So-
So it's just one of those things. But Dream obviously is still there here. I just meant, you know, as the leadership figure, you have Fox instead of Thomas. So I don't know.
Yeah.
OXG was insanely, like just looking good today. I think they're one of those teams. In my opinion, they impressed more out of anybody today in NA. I think SSG honestly didn't look that great. We'll get to that when we get there.
Yeah.
But no team really looked great today outside of Oxygen. And I don't think this is much to say about TSM not looking good. I really don't think they looked bad today. I think obviously Bolo took a really long time to get into the game. Like we can see right now, he's 1-6. But it's just, I don't know. I think TSM will still bounce back. I think it was just one of those things where they played OXG early. So I think tomorrow they'll bounce back just fine. But I'm really excited to see how OXG plays. I'm excited to see how their map pool develops as well. Because I think when you lose a support player and you get a support player, Dream is probably going to bring in a lot like he did with Mirage. I think their map pool is going to be even better than it was last stage. So, I don't know. I think sky's the limit for OXG, to be honest. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. Okay, man. But I think they definitely could be the best team in NA. So
Yeah, I think they look like a contender.
yeah. I mean, just doing this against TSM was just absolutely wild to me.
Do you think? I mean, I know it's only been one day. Do you think? So let's say, you know, hypothetically, OXG looks really good. They're predicted top 3. You know, TSM are the world champs.
Yeah.
We're not gonna not put them in top 3. Do you think? Actually, or rather, I'll say, who do you think would dethrone SSG in a top 3 spot, if anyone?
I think it would have to be Sonics, but I think there's issues with that just because of how they played today. It was a little scary. I think everyone's thing on Sonics was like just the biggest issue with Sonics was their map pool.
I worry. Yeah, I was gonna say I worry
Yeah.
about Sonics because now, like, there's 3 new maps and you have more bans to take out their comforts.
Exactly. So
Like, or what are their comforts? Oregon Club and what would you say? Actually, well, it used to be. They used to be a decent Coast. Team.
And Coast got taken out.
They don't lose Chalet.
Yeah. So I
They
think
did against CAG.
yeah.
I mean, well, like, At least like last year in NA, they played Chalet like 6 times, didn't lose it once.
I see. So I mean,
So-
yeah. So I mean, you have 3 bans to take out Club, Oregon, Chalet, and then what are they gonna do? Ban the 3 new maps?
Exactly.
Force them? Well, no, they auto ban Cafe.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Like we said, their map pool's a little rough. Bale said it in my chat. I really like Astralis. There's a lot more to see out of them. But I think it's clear that their map pool is already pretty good. Their play style matches up well against other teams. They have a lot of fucking talent. So I think I like Astralis a lot, but I don't know if it's enough to get them top 3. But I still think they're a top 4, top 5. They're definitely a top 5 team, Astralis, in my opinion. Unless something catastrophic happens, they're a top 5 team. But I don't know. I think SSG.
Top 5, I think it'd probably be OXG, TSM, SSG, Sonics, Astralis.
Yeah.
No particular order.
Yeah, I think DZ's a little. DZ Sonics can be a little interchangeable. DZ I still have issues with. I just think they rely too much on somebody going huge rather than their team actually playing well. As opposed to Sonics, just has a weak map pool, but they have 4 players who can show up consistently, at least 3. So they don't really rely on somebody to go absolutely huge for them to win.
I mean, but if you look at DZ, like, the NJ is always consistent. Hyper is always consistent. Pamba, at least over the past, like, SI and today,
It's been
has
very
played
good.
very well.
Yeah.
And Eclipse has been playing well too. So like, I don't think DZ like having consistent players is going to be an issue. Like I think DZ stays top 5 just because like if you look at their trend, it's been upward ever since like they picked up Canadian. Like stage 2, I think they were like 4th, right? And then stage 3 they were like 2nd or 3rd. Then and invite or at finals they got 2nd. Invite they finished like top 8, and it's like. It's just like a consistent like upward trend. That's how DZ's always been when they picked up new players. They've just taken a while to like implement them, and I think today they even like they played well. Like they didn't lose the defense. I don't think.
I think I kind of said it. It was more so like they have players who are consistent. The problem is they rely on one of them to do very well. Like for instance at SI it was Pamba. They have NJR, they have Hyper, they have Pamba. One of them always goes huge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think they really rely on that though. I think it's just
The
kind
only
of what happens.
The thing about DZ is here's my concern, right? If we take SI as our most recent example, they lose to Elevate. They beat a weakened VDS. They beat TSM, who is already qualified, and they lose to Furia in group stage, right? They barely make it out of group stage.
They should have been
Then we
grouped,
go
to be
into-
honest. If BDS has their full roster,
probably
they
get
get grouped.
And then we move into playoffs. I mean, they beat Navi, they beat Furia, who didn't look good, and they lose to FaZe. DZ still, after all this time, struggle with aggressive teams, like in-your-face teams, because that's how LATAM plays. I mean, that's how Elevate plays. That's how Elevate beat them. And my concern is now that Astralis look like they know what they're doing, DZ is going to lose to aggressive teams like TSM, like OXG, and Astralis is very clearly in your face.
And now you got X
and now
at Beast
they look
Coast.
more, and now Astralis looks more organized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that DZ is good against aggressive teams who don't do it together, but like teams who do like aggressiveness together, they really do struggle. Because if you look at like how like old Xset played, like old Xset like before like stage 2 Xset, like they played very aggressive, but they just didn't do it really together. And DZ like picked them apart. But against teams who do aggressiveness together, you can't really pick them apart one by one because you kill one person, there's like 3 more right next to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's where the relying on one player to go huge comes in. If they don't have somebody like absolutely, going massive, they're gonna lose those games.
I mean, they do have LMGs, so like you just gotta spread them all down. So.
Like it's possible. That's what I'm saying. I just don't think it's a reliable way of winning. It's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I don't think it's to the point where like they get bumped out of top 5 there, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. All right, I do have a question in the chat that has come in. Do we think Spirits performing bad on this Xset roster is concerning? Because like we said, we talked about the creators last episode. Creators, the PB system allowed Spirits to kind of like really play well, which is exactly the role that Creators is filling into, which is probably why Creators was enabled today. But is Spirits not playing as well with this Xset roster concerning to anybody?
I don't think it. I don't really think it
It's
is. 'Cause,
day
like,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's day one, and the PB system was literally made around Spirit, so obviously he's gonna play better in that. The access system is not. The access system is made around like everybody. It's not really made around one person.
Yeah.
At least from like what we saw today. So in like its first game they put against SSG. I mean I'm not. I don't think it's really concerning just because like that whole team is like brand new. Like even if they do have chem with each other, it's still like Spirits doesn't have chem with any
Yeah.
of them. And it's literally like a completely brand new team.
It'll
They're
take
all
him
really
time to
young.
get into his
Like three of them
place.
are literally are NAL rookies, and then the
Yeah.
other two only have a year of experience. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And then Bales asked, "Do you think that Troy Nadian back on more of a supportive IGL role at least?"
I said,
in
is he
offseason
back
for
on a more
matchup?"
supportive IGL role?
Oh,
He's not.
Is he?
He's not.
Oh
From
no, he
what-
said, "Do
fr-
you think that since Troy Nadian is back?"
Oh, I didn't think he was.
No, he was on Let me see.
He
what
was
were his
on
most
Zoe
played
for a little
ops?
He
bit.
was on Zoe, and yeah, he was on Zoe. He's been on Zoe and Jackal.
He was
Yeah.
His most played operator this game was Jackal.
So no, he was not on a supportive.
Yeah,
No, he was
Canadian.
not.
I mean, they even talked about
Panda
I mean,
was on
maybe for-
Heartbreach.
maybe for one round Canadian was.
Yeah.
But primarily it was Panda and Eclipse on Heartbreach because they have Eclipse on
Yeah.
main support. But like Canadian, I mean, like he kind of pioneered that style, but I mean,
I don't think it really.
In
It
this-
shouldn't exist anymore in this meta.
yeah, I mean, you look at this meta with how proactive you have to be on the entry. Like, it's not like it was back in like Canadian's prime where like people would just sit back. Like even on roams, people would just kind of sit back. Now, like you have to be so proactive on the entry. I don't know how that works because if you take a look at most, if not all, the IGLs in the NAL right now, they're almost all on hard support, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Besides Fox, who's on
Right?
flex. Nobody's
Yeah.
doing it on
Hard
entry.
support.
Huh?
Except
I think
Merc.
Merc
I
is yeah,
guess-
Merc is doing it, but he's not like primary entry. Like he's not first
I mean,
one
I
in.
don't know. I think that Canadian like the IGL being on like Flex is fine just because they get to see way more of the map.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Because
Flex is fine,
if they're on
but I-
Flex, they don't really have like a specific job they have to do, so they could just be cycling drones, seeing the setup
do
and
whatever the
shit,
fuck they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then call what they want. So I
Right.
think IGL's being on like a Flex entry is good because they can actually see a lot more of the map, as opposed to Heartbreachers who have to like only see like half of it when they're droning.
I think it was more
It's
so
usually
just
you-
personal performance that like people were concerned about with him being on
mean,
a role like that.
I think it's fine because the way that DZ usually like, I don't know, they usually have like one Heartbreach, and then they kind of just have like four, like two flexes and two entries. Like if you look at Pamba, like he's been like he plays Finka or he plays or Iona or like a Heartbreach, depending on the site.
Yeah.
Especially the repick. Like on club, he was literally on fucking Therm,
Yeah, we were talking
and
a
then
lot
on
about
this
DZ.
he was on Ace, and it's like, I don't really think it's an issue because of the way that DZ plays. If it was a team like SSG, then it would kind of be an issue because they play like so slow.
Yeah.
But the way that DZ played, they just play very like adaptive mid round.
All right, let's make sure we get into exit SSG. Map bans. I mean exit's more of a new roster, so I kind of like how SSG banned for the most part. Besides leaving club up, well, obviously that's an SSG map, but going to bank. I actually didn't like SSG going to bank. I kind of talked about this before. Supposedly the exit system is a LATAM system. SSG at Invite, I'm pretty sure both LATAM teams they played them on bank and they lost both of them. That's actually how they got knocked out, was they lost an OT game on bank. So I didn't like SSG fans.
They trolled that game so hard.
They did. They really did. But I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I don't think there's much to say on map bans quite yet because, you know, outside of SSG, we know their pool. But XSET, we don't. So we don't really know what's going on with their map bans for the most part. But we can go into the game. I said before the season started, my concerns with the XSET roster. This roster is super talented. You saw that in the first half. But the second shit started to get rough, they lost rounds they were supposed to win. There was no way back. That was my main concern with XSET, and like clockwork, it happened. The leadership on this team is concerning. Obviously it's a friend team. Obviously vibes are up. But the second that, a round is trolled or something crazy happens, they literally crumbled. They lost every round after that. I'm pretty sure they were up 3-2. And then they ended up getting absolutely curb stomped after that. I don't know. This roster's too talented to see. You could literally, off of the first round, Spirits just, took 2 heads off, right at the rip. So obviously
dude,
the talent's there.
Those shots were nasty.
Yeah, the talent's there. It's just one of those things. Even the structure was there for a little while. It's just one of those things where it's I don't even think it's how the team is made or the talent or the structure or the system. I don't think any of it's the issue. The issue itself is literally only what do they do when shit starts getting rough? And clearly that's not been soiled out yet. Obviously they're all rookies. I don't think that's too much of a big thing right now to be concerned about. I think that's one of those things that when you get to stage 2, if it's still an issue, then it's all right. Or even later this stage, it's more of an issue. But like I said, that was my concern with the roster. It happened. They are playing SSG, so I'm not necessarily too worried. They looked for a while like they were the better team. And I mean, SSG, that's also my concern. SSG for a while didn't look like they were the better team in this game. XSET looked better than them until they won the round that they shouldn't have won. Then they won a second round in a row that they shouldn't have won, and then just crumbled after that. They got the momentum type of thing. But I'm still a little concerned. But
I think SSG switching their IGLs and roles and shit is gonna be really good for them, because they've just kind of been playing the same game as Siege, the same style as Siege for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I think them switching identities with a new IGL, obviously their style didn't look that different, but even just a switch up pace.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they were faster.
It should help them a lot. Yeah, they were.
But I think it was just the only problem was you're playing against an XSET team that is just, that is the definition of fast paced. You look at these guys, their tempo might not be that fast, but these are all guys that can thrive in a fast paced environment.
Yeah, I think that I think SSG will actually play, or at least off of today will do pretty well this stage. So obviously
I agree.
Did they go 3-3 on attack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost the first
they-
3, and then they won 3 in a row.
Pretty sure they won
Yeah.
7 in a row.
7 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, they won
Yeah, so
last
they
7
won-
rounds.
So they end up going 3-3 on attack, and and then they won every single defense.
Yeah.
And once they figured out how to counter how XO was playing, because obviously they had no idea how XO was gonna play going into this.
I think everybody for
'cause,
the most part kind of knew.
XO, I mean, okay, you could
But
you know
not
a certain
experience.
defense,
Yeah.
but you don't you can't predict exactly how they're gonna play. So them, and then after I think they took their attack after losing the first 3, and then after they won 7 in a row. Once they figured out what XO was doing, they were just able to counter it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This also to be, just to notice this one as well. Both times we saw Bank today, both times Nook was banned. I think for a casual viewer, it wasn't 7 in a row. SSG won 1 earlier.
I've
But-
revolutionized knock on Bank. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Ethan Frozen Fox told me to play it, and then I was around the map.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that the casual viewer doesn't really see. Very often, everyone says Nook sucks. I don't think she sucks as much anymore. It's a nade meta, but
Isn't the only other time we've seen Nook banned was that G2 Empire match?
yeah,
Back when Pengu still played.
yeah, it's been a while. It's just not one of
I
those
can't
things you
believe I
normally
just
see.
said. I can't believe I just said back when Pengu still played.
I know.
No, I'm
It's been a
sad.
while. It's been a while, but he didn't even play at all last year, did he? Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Did he play Stage 1?
No.
Yeah, so he was done the entire time then. But it's just not one of those things you see, and it is banned both times. Obviously, she's very powerful on Bank. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, especially for the late main lobby hits.
yeah, I think it's still weird sometimes to see her be good enough to get banned.
Yeah, they just don't want to do it, especially too, it's become so common where I don't see anyone ever go Garage except the Nook player.
Yeah, I just don't think Garage is as powerful anymore. Besides, it's a late hit, you get kills.
Yeah.
I don't think you really need a guy Garage anymore like you used to.
Nook will go there. Nook will go obviously lobby stairs on a top floor attack. That's pretty much it though, right?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, but now especially with the repick, you can just get off her if you want to.
yeah, exactly.
At
That's
the
kind of
site's
the main
open or tellers
thing.
or
You don't
whatever.
need to
So
use
you
her.
could literally, you could just run it for one site if you wanted to, and
Yeah.
they would have no idea that you had her the rest of the time.
I mean, I like the attack bans in this map. Basically, everything's up. Like Jackal ban is probably like a given for this map for the most part.
Yeah.
It wasn't banned last time, but he's obviously really powerful in this map. But Nook and so that being said, every hard breach is up, Thatcher's up. You know, it's just like normally shit you don't see. Seeing all those up, you almost always see a hard breach or Thatcher banned. And that didn't happen. So I guess that was kind of good for this game, but we kind of go back. Trying to get forward to the round that Xset basically threw away. I don't know if it was this round or the next one. I think it was the next one. Until it was the last attack.
No, it was
right?
their first. It was their first attack.
Their first.
It was Xset's first attack.
You just went backwards.
No, I
Yeah,
know. I was trying to make sure it wasn't that one. Was it their first?
No,
No, it was
Xset's
no, it
first
was this
attack.
one. I think it was this one first, and then
Oh,
yeah, it
yeah.
was
they
this
did
one
their
first,
two in a
and
row.
then yeah, they threw two in a row. So it was, and then Xset took the time out afterwards. Which, like I said, me and Jack were talking about it last week, where Bodega is kind of like that head lead figure, you know. But outside of hello.
Oof.
See, now you
That
get the
shot was
2v4,
so
right?
good.
And look at this, 4v2, minute and a half. You have two hard
Dude,
breach left only.
Bosco goes so crazy in this.
He
game.
does.
I mean, I think this is just kind of like it might just be like a testament to like the nerves that Xset had, because if you see, they literally had two people playing in Vault
Yeah.
and they didn't have anybody in red. And even if the red like hatch was
I
open,
think they're just trying not to give
like-
away a
like-
pickback.
I mean, yeah, I get they're trying to like not give a pickback, but they're just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it could have been
They're
nerves.
just both like they're just kind of hiding.
Either way, I feel like it wasn't nerves because
Well, and like they have three smokes, two nitros. They're not gonna be able to get a plant down, right?
they shouldn't
Just,
be able to
like,
get a plant down.
I mean, even
They
if
get a
like,
plant down.
even if you don't want to give them pickback, then don't even peek vault at all. Literally,
Yeah.
just sit back and hold the cross.
We'll
Like
kind of go a
don't
little bit further because I don't
because
think
if
anything
you
happens to
see
execute.
when like once Bosco gets in, they just give him two or three ones.
Yeah. You can see the disruption a little bit, but it's not like visual. It's a lot smaller. Pretty sure. Right? Or can
Yeah,
you
'cause,
not
like-
see her at all? She also doesn't hit the metal detectors anymore.
You don't
Or
see her at
traps.
all, really.
I
No, she
believe.
hits traps.
I thought she
But,
didn't
like,
hit
you see how,
lesions.
like, no, she does. They took
Ah.
that out.
Good.
But like,
'Cause she
here,
would've
go,
been
go back,
insane.
like, go back a bit. It's like there's
Yeah,
20
Bosco
seconds.
just-
You know that they're
Bosco
not going to be
fucking
able to
sprints
plant,
in.
and like, I don't even. Kino died throwing to smoke,
Yeah.
and that's whatever. And then Gomez was throwing
Was
a
caught
nitro, and he
lacking.
died. But then Diaz should have just. Oh, he did throw a nitro,
Yeah, I know. I was
and
joking.
Bosco shot it. Okay, never mind.
I mean, it's just like I don't know, man. And look how like crazy they get after that, right? You get 5 grown ass men yelling at you from across the stage, right?
And I've like, it has been a very long time since I've seen Hot and Cold do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's just like it's not even that, right? They get an opportunity. You know, you go over to your attacks now. You know, it's an attacker sided map. You 3-3 on defense, which isn't even that bad. You get opening pick, by the way. You know, everything's going their way. I believe it's a 4v3 when it gets down to execute. But it was just another terrible troll, right? Yeah, you got 4v3, time for execute. Yog's on the top of the map, and I'm not gonna lie, he trolled this. I think it was Yaga's fault, basically. Yaga and Kino, obviously Kino kind of, Kino obviously team kills here. But whoever the upstairs guy is, so Kino gets out, right? It's planted for him. Bosco's up here, right? And they have a guy in blue stairs. Bosco's up here. Yaga's upstairs. He's top floor. He hears all this stuff going on, right? Obviously, Spirits gets the kill. He dies. Why
don't think
is Bosco allowed to get to blue stairs? How is that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't think Spirit should have been playing so like aggressively on blue either. Cause like he could have, he could have retaken, like side hatch, or like some like him and Yag could have like.
They could have done a
I
lot
don't
of
even know.
things. They could have
Yeah,
done a lot
I
of
just
things.
I don't think that him playing bottom blue like that aggressively was good, but yeah, that guy should not be able to get top blue either.
Yeah, I just
Also,
go for it.
also, is it just me, or does Rampy have a really big mouth? Like, physically.
Like physically, I might agree
Yeah.
with you on that. I might agree with you on that. But look
Which
at this.
isn't throwing shade on it. Like, I think Rampy's
No.
a really good looking guy, but it's like every time I hear him yell, it just looks like his mouth is really big.
I just think it's just one of those things you can't really. I don't know. You can't lose all your 4 defenses or 4 attacks. I mean, and they came off a timeout. Bodega kind
They
of
got
did his
smoked.
thing. Like he talked, but like I said, it comes down to you need a player who can bring you all back. You need kind of that experience, and Kino is Kino and Yag are the most experienced players on the team. Kino's supposedly supposed to do that, but clearly they couldn't do that. They spiraled. You know,
I don't know. It's like I don't know if Kino is loud enough to do that.
he's not. That's what I'm saying. They don't really have somebody who can really do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas you have like all 5 guys on SSG who just don't get chalked.
no, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's just that's my main issue with this Xset team is talent aside. When, like I said, when shit gets tough, they literally crumbled. They threw last round. Like, obviously, you troll rounds here and there. It's bound to happen. It's fucking Siege. But I just after that, they go to their first attack, and then they troll their first attack, which clearly they messed up because Yako was playing like a pussy. You know, that guy was playing like a bitch. He let Bosco make a play that never should have been made, and then he ended up losing the 1v1. And it's just like, or Kino lost the 1v1. I don't remember anymore. But my point is it's just like, you can't let that shit happen. Like, you are so talented as a roster, you have to look at yourself. Even down 4-3, even after losing that first round, you are on your attack side on Bank. And just like not being able to reel it in and really even get close to winning a round after this. I'm pretty sure they don't even get close to winning an attack round after this. It's just
They're so slow on this clear.
I think that's the problem though. They're slow in the clear because they just got jittered.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
that's the
Spirits fell off the
confidence
top of fell off the roof there.
Yeah,
Like-
it's a minute 30. It's a minute 30,
Yeah.
and they
This
like
is the
they
basement
just
clear.
got lobby control.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
is it a basement clear or is this open?
Yeah, I
this
think
is open,
that-
right? Yeah, it's open.
I think it's open. Yeah, but like if it's still like it's a minute 10, and they don't have top for control.
Yeah.
Like there's still the guy in janitor.
Yeah.
I feel like they came into this game like knowing like a base idea of what they wanted to do, but like I don't know, they just took so long in all of their steps, and like their mid round was really bad.
I don't
as
think for the
well.
most part it took them so long because, like I said, they were shaking in a sense. The nerves got to him. You know,
Yeah.
when you start getting nervous and stuff like that, you know, like from experience, like all of us has played, maybe not Crow, but you know, Spiker, me and you have played. Like when you
Chris played. But
Oh
Kurt-
yeah, I
Kurt-
played that one game.
Mhm.
Against
First one.
FaZe Flamingos.
But my whole point is when you start like, you know, losing rounds, you're doing your thing, you do right, you know, you do everything right, and then you lose your round still, you start to like start questioning if what you're doing is right. You start like, you know, doubting yourself, you start doubting the plays. Everything starts going like, you know, hesitations to get made, stuff like that, where it's just like a, you know, that's probably why they start playing slow, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Like they started questioning their plays. They started like having doubts in themselves. You know, when you're supposed to win this many rounds, it's just like, you know, I think that's why the tempo got a little slow, because on their defenses, they did set the tone. They were aggressive on their defenses, and I just doubt that on their attack for some strange reason they would not play so aggressive. So
I think XL got a lot better over the stage. Like
I agree.
uh,
I 100% agree.
like PB, because like they looked like they knew like even though it ended up like not finishing well, like if they didn't lose those 2 rounds, it would have been 5-3 for them. You know?
Exactly. Not only would it have been 5-3 for them, but they'd be on their attacks. And this is against a good SSG team. This is still a good
Yeah.
SSG team. Like I said, with SSG, the reason why I don't have them so high in my power rankings, why I think I, you know, could even have them at 4. Obviously, Sonic's playing terribly today. Did not help that case. But Astralis playing well. Maybe they take in. But my issue with SSG, and this is why they always don't do incredibly well at international events, in my opinion, is if Hot and Cold's not playing out of his mind, which today they, you know, Fultz and Rampy played well. Basically, the whole roster played well today. But if Hot and Cold wasn't putting up MVP numbers, they weren't playing that well. They weren't placing that well. The one time in NA, like actual NA play, that he didn't play well was the NAL finals, and they lost to DZ first time, which DZ, they were consistently pretty good in NA, but the reason why they were consistently good was because they were beating all the bad teams. They weren't really beating the good teams. That's the thing with DZ. Crow kind of said it earlier. For the most part, they don't beat top teams. They, for the most part, prey on the lower tier teams. They also struggle against aggressive teams, but obviously SSG is not that aggressive team. But Hotton didn't play that well, and they lost that series. Hotton plays well stage 2, stage 3. They come in first place. That's my main concern, is if they can, and I think with their style change, I think this will be, completely different. But if Hot and Cold wasn't playing well, they weren't doing well as a team. It's good to see that they can still do that. They kind of strayed away from that, not needing Hotton to play as well. That's obviously the system change, but I don't know. I think SSG, we still need to see more out of them. Because like we kind of just said, if those 2 rounds don't go Xset's way, they probably win this map. We all know how good their roster is as a whole, but I don't know. I just think that's my main issue with Xset, is we obviously know how good they are, but if something like this happens, they're going to lose. Like, that's just a given. They are going to lose if something like that happens. SSG, if this doesn't happen, they probably lose this map against a completely new team, and now we're sitting there asking ourselves, where do we go from here if we're Space Station? I think both of these teams we're going to have to see as they go on more on the stage. SSG, I'm happy they won 7-3. They closed out the game when they should have. They kind of capitalized on a bleeding Xset roster. But I don't know. I still think I'm not necessarily concerned, but I still have question marks on this team. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think SSG went into it knowing that Xset are really young, and the stuff is probably gonna get into their heads, that they just kind of kept on saying stuff off that. If you look every round, after every round, they were just talking no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, they shit talked. Yeah, they did.
And literally in person, something you can just meet them in chat.
Yeah.
So I think that probably also played an effect to it to a certain extent. Even if EXO was even if the EXO player said it didn't, it probably did to a certain extent.
It did. 100% it did.
It just adds doubt into their minds.
So, I mean, like I said, Spirits, dude. Let's look at this right now. You look at Spirits right now, he's 2-8. He got those 2 kills in the first round. So,
yeah.
I think he's going to struggle a little bit as well. Like the question in the chat earlier said, he's going to struggle a bit as well, not playing in that PB system. Because when was the last time he didn't play in that system?
It was 2 years ago.
Exactly. It's been a really long time since he's not played in that system. And the system was built for him to succeed. So when you get to a system that isn't built for him, where he's just another piece of the puzzle, obviously he's going to struggle for a little bit. I think he's a good enough player that he'll be better when it gets to that point. Obviously, you look at the stats. Kino and Yaga did their thing. You look at the 3 that haven't been there. Spirits, Gomez, Diaz. Obviously, they're the ones who aren't performing. Like I said, Xset, I don't have the question marks about. You know what we're going to get early stage, late stage. We know what's going to happen with them. My thing is, question to you guys is it at all concerning SSG, them basically preying on Xset was the main reason they won today, not the fact that they were the better team?
I don't know.
I just think it's one of those things we need to see more of later, but
because I think it's also not necessarily that. It could also be that SSG has also recently struggled against LATAM teams.
Yeah.
And Xset is that quote unquote LATAM system.
Yeah.
And I think it just maybe, again, because they're a completely unknown quantity, maybe it just took SSG a few more feeler rounds than they expected. So I think we gotta wait until SSG go up against.
I agree with that.
Like a TSM or an OXG or a Sonics or whatever to really make a decision about that.
I think they have the same issue that DZ has, in my opinion. I don't think they're not a very good team historically, obviously, against aggressive teams. I think obviously it's the LATAM style. It's why APAC also does pretty well for the most part against SSG. They obviously beat
twice, right?
They did beat them twice. beat them in winners, and they beat them in groups. So they obviously struggle against the like very aggressive playstyle. I think that's no question. I think that's why DZ and SSG might struggle a little bit. That's why I think OXG, TSM, and even Astralis and Sonics will do really well. I think Astralis has kind of entered themselves in that like conversation today. Obviously long stage, but I think it's, for the most part, it's like they've entered themselves, and the conversation is a contender for top 4. Not a contender to win the whole thing, not yet, but a contender to be a top 4 team. But SSG and DZ, you look at it top to bottom this league. You look at XSET's an aggressive roster. Beast Coast is an aggressive roster. OXG is going to be an aggressive roster. TSM is a pretty aggressive roster. Like, there's more teams. Astralis, obviously, aggressive roster. Like, you look top to bottom in this league, there's more aggressive teams. Like, teams in NA are starting to gravitate more to the playstyle of aggressive, rather than, the passive playstyle that they've always played before, the passive structured playstyle. So, I think this is where, I think SSG and DZ could really struggle. They both won today. DZ, I'm a little more concerned about, obviously. I think they just played a very, very bad Mirage team. So, I don't really think they're... you can really gauge them quite yet, but SSG...
I'm worried Mirage is going to be the freebie team.
Yeah, SSG's played against a team, that was all rookies, They haven't played a Beast Coast. They haven't played an OXG. They haven't played an Astralis, Astralis, all these teams that have all been there before. So, I think the second they play a team like that, which I'm not sure if that's tomorrow. Let me look. It's not tomorrow they get Mirage. They should easily win that game. But,
SSG play Mirage?
Yeah.
GG.
So, I just think it's like one of those things where it's like, it's going to take a little bit of time for me to actually formulate an opinion on SSG, but they won the game that they should have. They capitalized on the mistakes, so that's fine. There's no issues with SSG right now. But
I think that if SSG had prep on XSET, if they play them in a week, in the 3rd game or something,
they win that game.
Think that it would have they would have gone off the ground a lot faster.
Yeah.
Because SSG are a team that's very good with prep, and that's just kind of they've always been very good at prep, very good at capitalizing it off of it. So I think that if they play XSET in a week or two and know exactly what XSET is gonna do, how they're gonna play, I think that game starts a lot smoother for them.
Yeah.
And then they end up getting a 4-2 half instead of a 3-3.
Yeah. Bales, to answer your question, Marm did not do very well today. I think she went 4-9. I have the stats up, but she went 4-9. Yes, 1-0 entry, 50% cost, not very good. But let's go into our predictions for tomorrow. We kind of went over everything today. I went 2-3. I'm not gonna lie, I should have had DZ. I kind of switched it late to be, the different guy.
Be quirky. You want to be quirky?
Yeah. I feel like an idiot for doing that for Mirage, but
you should.
I think for the most part, tomorrow should be an interesting day of Siege. First matchup, we got Sonics and Parabellum. I would say Sonics would win this game. I think Parabellum is still going to be good, but I think the map pool wise, I mean,
yeah, that's my concern. I feel like if PB can take him to a freaky map, because Pegman's been preaching on Twitter, oh, you Challenger League people just fucking ban Oregon and Clubhouse and Villa. I feel like they're just gonna do that tomorrow too, to disable a lot of Sonics maps. If they can, because Sonics are gonna auto ban Cafe like they always do.
Then they're gonna ban Chalet, obviously. Well, Chalet they are good on, but
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It might go to Chalet tomorrow. I think it's
probably ban Sky. I feel like Sky and Cafe are gonna be there.
There's no way they leave Sky up.
I think they end up playing a Chalet or a Bank.
A Chalet, Bank, even a Villa. I could see happening.
If PB let Bank go.
I don't think they're gonna let Bank go through.
I don't think PB will play Border again though. That's the thing.
They won't.
So let's say PB ban Oregon Club, and then Border. Sonics would ban Cafe, Sky. What would they ban next?
I mean, they might ban Border.
Theme?
Even Theme. I think they could ban Theme. Against.
I think
team.
yeah. I think I agree. I think a Villa or a Chalet are entirely
Yeah.
possible. And I'm not gonna lie, PB have always been really good on those maps.
They have been. I just think Sonics is just there's no way they play that bad tomorrow again, right?
Are you
there's
allowed
no
to?
way.
Are you allowed to switch your vote after you see the map?
I mean, no. Technically, I
'Cause
can.
I know we do that. We did that. 'Cause
but-
we did that sometimes for Challenger League. Like if we're active in the like Discord and watching the stream, like once we see the map, we'll be like, oh hey Ferme, you know.
I mean, we
swap
can't
my
do it
vote.
because this is the day
Do a lot.
before. You know, we can't really change it up to tomorrow. But
That's true.
I think for the most part, you know, I think if they go to Chalet, I think assuming they go to Chalet or Villa, I think that's for the most part should be safe. I would say Sonics is going to win strictly because they are pretty good at both of those maps, and I just don't see them playing as badly as they did today.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. I'm just going to do my things just because, you know, my
Yeah.
record's the one being
You gotta
counted.
do- you gotta do-
But
SSG obviously.
SSG, obviously. There's
You just don't
no
need to explain
conversation
that one.
needed to be had. This one's an interesting one. OXG and Astralis.
Astralis.
Now, I
You
think
gotta go with Nuker. You gotta
you,
go.
you do got to go with New Crew. I think this game's actually going to be really close, in my opinion.
I think it might be like an 8-6, 8-7.
I think it could be an OT game. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that depends on the map.
I do too.
For Astralis,
I think it'll be super close, but I still think OXG edge it out.
I agree with you as
Just
well.
'cause, like, I feel like because with OXG, right? With OXG, they're bringing in a new support and they're bringing in newers, but it's not a new system. With
Yeah,
Astralis,
same
with
system.
Fallout and Forest, it looked like a complete overhaul.
It's a same player,
Yeah.
same player, new system. You know, it's like the opposite for what OXG has. It's, you know, new
So I feel
players,
like-
same system.
feel
So
like- I feel like OXG takes that
yeah.
just because they have more solidarity.
Like I said, I think it depends on what map they go to. Obviously, no chance in hell OXG allows Sky to
Take
fall
Astralis
through.
Sky, yeah.
There's no way it happens. But I
And
think
no way Astralis let OXG take it to theme.
exactly. I just think it depends on map for the most part. But I think it's just one of those interesting matchups because both of those teams have good map pools from the looks of it. So I'm a little interested to see where it goes and how both teams perform. Obviously, they're not gonna play the same maps that they just did. They're gonna play any of the 7 besides, you know, Theme and Sky. So I think we're gonna get a better idea of those teams' map pools and how built they are. Because I think, you know, in general, like maps aside, these are 2 of the better teams in NAL from what we've seen. So I think it's just going to be like one of those things like, you know, Astralis, I think OXG obviously we have a better idea of that they're going to have a better map pool. Like on the better ends of the map pools, they'll be better at more maps than not. Astralis is one of those things that as time goes on, we're going to see if they actually are good at a majority of the maps or, you know, if they only have like 3 or 4 maps and then they end up getting figured out and towards, you know, end of stage 1, stage 2, they start to fizzle off because teams have figured them out.
Yeah. I agree.
Next game, TSM XSET.
TSM.
I want to say TSM as well. It's just, again, it's one of those tough ones. I think XSET really is a really good team, but they're going to struggle early. So it's just, I think if they play this game later, it's like XSET a trap game. They play them at the end of the stage, but they don't. I feel really bad for XSET, the fact that they have to play SSG and TSM in their first week. So
Yeah, that kind of blows.
now this next game,
But, I mean, that also means though, that might be good for them.
they get to play
because
worse teams later.
They get to play worse. So by the time
Yeah.
they've you know shored up, then
They could make a run to make the major.
Beast Coast versus DZ I think is the hardest.
I have Beast Coast. I'm not gonna lie. Like we said, DZ struggles
I am
against
also
aggressive
not gonna
teams.
lie. I feel like Beast Coast could take this.
I think it's
Unless DZ can force a really complex map.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
They're not going. I don't think they'll be able to.
I think Beast
I
Coast.
think. I honestly think that they might end up on border again.
Really?
It's possible. I think
I wouldn't be
DZ. I
surprised.
mean,
think,
looking
I
at
think
it,
Beast Coast. I think BC would be comfortable playing again. I think DZ would be. I don't think DZ would be comfortable playing against them, but I don't know if they really have a choice.
I think
again.
they'd be fine to play them on it. Like we had Surf.
It's reasonable.
You know.
Yeah,
they're-
I
they're
think they'd be
comfortable on
fine.
it, but
I think DZ would be fine to play BC on it. I don't like.
no, BC
I
would be
don't
fine to play
know if-
DZ on it.
No, I know. I think BC would be fine too. I just don't know if DZ like. I don't think DZ wants to go there though.
I don't think they want to go there, but I think they're fine with going there. I think is the point
Yeah.
to be made. Just because
Yeah,
you look at BC, even like I said, BC looked good on the map for the most part, but they still only won 7-5 and really shouldn't have won 7-5. Like it really should have went OT at the very least, let alone PB winning. So I still think BC will win. They've had the time. I just think Beast Coast is going to be one of those teams that not necessarily has a honeymoon phase, but they're going to be one of those teams that is going to have a strong start. And then we'll see, towards Playday 5, Playday 4, them start to get figured out. I think right now teams are going to struggle to play against them. So I have Beast Coast. I don't think that's anything. I think that's the only wild one for tomorrow. One that could really, really go either way. I think LXG and Astralis could obviously go either way. Even Sonic's PB. I think the games tomorrow are going to be way better than the games today. I think that's just a fact. It should be. Hopefully. Exactly. But anyways, we went on for a very long time today. But I think we got a lot out of this. Tomorrow, we have some guests from Mirage coming in. I will be announcing who specifically tomorrow. Should be around the same time, right after the NAL Playday, maybe a little bit later. But appreciate everybody for coming for the second episode of the Prep Phase. We will be back tomorrow. So stay tuned. Keep watching NAL. But if you don't, we'll be here to summarize it for you. So peace out. See you guys tomorrow.